Okay, moving forward, and we will go to Group G. And Group G, Brazil, Switzerland, Cameroon, Serbia. Brazil and Switzerland both winning their only games they have played. Neymar, though, getting injured and is possibly out till if Brazil gets to the semi-final area. He has, that ankle. That ankle was massively swollen. But before we start talking about Richarlison and how good he had looked in that first game against Serbia, which happens is a very strong team. Rafinha made a statement saying how in Argentina they worship Messi, in France they worship Mbappe, and I can't remember the other country he mentioned that there's a player they worship, but the Brazilians don't seem to worship Neymar. Is that true? And I'll start with Dunk.
Um,
Do you think the Brazilians attack him because of his rolling on the floor and they don't give him as much props as maybe other countries would give certain their star players? And does that affect him?
I was going to say, I'm not too sure. I don't hang out with large groups of Brazilian football
You
supporters,
don't?
but he's had times in his career where he's been portrayed as a prima donna. Obviously, he's been. Is this his third World Cup now? Someone have to
Yes, he is. Yeah.
check the stats for me. I could see like how maybe some of the love has been lost through the prima donna status and not achieving success at the previous World Cups. I'm sure it wouldn't take much to win them back over if they won a nice little World Cup here. I mean, he's a fantastic footballer, but there's a side to his game where it's not justified at this tournament, but in previous tournaments, what was that? Was it the last World Cup where he did the 5 rolls on the floor after getting tackled? But like he was treated pretty badly in that first game and fouled. But yeah, there has been that side of the game that has obviously affected his reputation somewhat. So hopefully he can regain some of that if he features back in the later stage of the tournament, because the Brazil game, I really enjoyed that. Like they took a little while to get going against Serbia, but once they got going, there was the Brazil flair and it was really good to watch.
Mr. Hender, you think they can do it without Neymar?
Yeah, I mean, I've never been a massive fan of Neymar. I think he going to PSG early on in his career was detrimental to my opinion of him. Well, he wouldn't give two hoots, really. I don't think there's many people that will, but it's he was in his prime and he goes to PSG to win Uber Eats League rather than trying to compete at a top level.
He went there because he didn't want to be in the shadow of Messi.
That worked well. He's in the shadow of Mbappe and Messi now. He's a great player. He's not going to be one of their folklore players because he doesn't maybe have the connection with the fans. And bearing in mind he went to PSG for ridiculous amounts of money, that alienates people instantaneously from them, because they want their players playing at the big clubs, and you want to see your big players and your best players playing, especially now, playing on the biggest stage that they can possibly play on. And 36 games a year with against who? Don't get me wrong, it's competitive enough at the second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth in the league, but at the top, it's just a Mickey Mouse league, unfortunately. And he's gone out there, and that's alienated people from the love of him. He's a great football player, but he's very selfish, and he's not like the old days. I mean, Rivaldo, when he got hit with that ball in the face, which was never in the face, and Dunga, they was players that actually had something with the fans, though. They gave back an element. I feel Neymar's just a big show pony, way better than. He's a great player, but he will never go down as a world-class player because of where he's played football. And I think that's only detriment to himself. But I was bigging him up earlier for his skills, and he does look amazing, don't get me wrong, but will they miss him? Well, they'll probably just fill him with another one. Like Rodriguez, who said, looked amazing when he came on. That ball at his feet is superb as well. So
I think the problem with Neymar is that he portrays that he believes that he's bigger than the Brazilian team, and that's something that they've never ever had. No matter who you are, Pele, Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, they're always second to Brazil, the national team. They'll play for the team. When Neymar's on the pitch, it's more about, it comes across sometimes like it's about him. And to be honest, I think they may actually do better as a team unit without him, because they do have a lot of talent.
Well, that group is still. I mean, everybody pretty much thinks Brazil should, scale through. Their next game is against. It's against Switzerland. Both of them won their opening game, so whoever wins, if Brazil wins, Brazil should go through. Is there a chance for, and also a chance for the likes of Cameroon and Serbia? Dunc?
Ooh, so they're playing each other as well, are they?
Yes, they are.
So yeah, that's going to be. I mean, that's going to be an important game. So that will get them one of them on the board if they can get the win in that one. So yeah, they've got a chance. I mean, Switzerland are decent. They're not really. They're probably someone you'd be down all day for the last 16 possible quarterfinalists, but again, they're not amazing. I think coming into the tournament, I would have expected Serbia to do well in this group. They've got the tough game out of the way against Brazil. So I think Serbia have got every chance of getting out of the group. Possibly could come down to goal difference. But yeah, I'd back Serbia in that Cameroon game.
Well, going back to Brazil, Richarlison puts on that yellow shirt and he looks like he's actually Brazilian compared to when he puts on the white shirt and looks like he's from, I don't know, Swindon or somewhere. Yeah, in terms of playing and skill, he's definitely going to carry the team now. Mr. Hinder said they might possibly not miss Neymar and they may have Rodrigo and other players. So with the current crop of players, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, in terms of quality for over the years, what Brazil has shown, this team doesn't come anywhere close. But is this team still good enough to win the tournament, Mr. Hinder?
I mean, Richarlison's a quality player. He's a good worker, and I think that's one of the things. Reminds me of Dunga being an absolutely great worker for Brazil. Never the show pony, but the guy that just gets it done. You need those people in your team, and I imagine he's got skill for days. He just doesn't need to use it. Use skill at the time where you need to use skill, and other than that, you continue playing football. I can't remember if it was Dunc or Steve made the point earlier about Croatia using the ball to move rather than trying to run it all the time, right? That's what Richarlison does. He plays football simply, and I think that's the good thing about him. Plus, he's always running and he's trying to hassle and move defenders. So he's got different attributes and they complement that team brilliantly. Is he as good as Ronaldo R9 back in the day? No, he's not as good as that, but you don't get those type of players every day. I think Richarlison is a top quality striker. And for me, I think they could still win the World Cup with the team they've got. I've said it before, the footballers and the clubs, the countries now don't appeal to me like they used to. It's not as good, but I think that on paper and how they've played, I think Brazil could still go all the way and win it, but they can't because England are winning. So
I'd say what sets them apart this time is they got a top goalie. They've Thiago Silva's the level he's playing at for a 38-year-old is ridiculous. And they got Marquinhos. Even if Thiago Silva goes out, they got Eder Militao of Real Madrid. They've got their backline to back it up. Casemiro's playing very well at the minute. So they've got that solid backbone and defensive structure, so they can go out there with a flair and they can soak up the pressure as well. And it was another. It's like England in the first game. You look at the subs they bring on, you're just damn. They brought on, who was it? Anthony, Gabriel Jesus. Fred's decent, in the midfield. That Rodrigo, who we mentioned before. So you look at who they bring on, they're missing Neymar, but like Steve said, they're going to cope with the squad they got and the attacking talent and flair they got at their disposal.
Okay,
I actually think that their player of their tournament could actually be Vinicius Junior. To be honest, I think he could end up being their player of the tournament because he's frightening. So with pace and how he can beat players.
Duncan said, "Who goes through from the group?" Big Steve, who goes through? Brazil and who?
Yeah, I can see Serbia doing it as well.
Okay, and
they've got the tough one out the way, as Dunc said.
And Mr. Hinder.
I mean, anyone could go through, really, couldn't they, at the moment? Serbia, Switzerland played well, to be fair to them. So let's give it to Switzerland. Why not? Why not let them through? Xhaka's on fire.
No, we want Xhaka to come back.
Heads on fire. We shall see what happens in Group G. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, Group H. Portugal, South Korea, Uruguay, Ghana. So it was a very good game against Portugal. Ghana, it was very close, 3-2. The Portuguese actually won. Ronaldo, first player to score in 5 World Cups. once again adding another record to his resume. And Portugal is looking. There was the mention of they have look like they have a very good balanced team. The game against Ghana was a bit, was difficult, but and of course South Korea grew Uruguay, and now Uruguay plays Portugal next, and Ghana plays South Korea. Dunk, how's that group looking? Who are you tipping to go through?
Yeah, this one's still wide open. I just get my little beef with Ronaldo out the way first. Like, I can't believe they didn't go to VAR for that penalty. And the BBC website was quoting, I don't know who it was, someone from FIFA, that actually said Ronaldo was genius in the way he won that penalty. Yeah. Well, when you're competing against the intellect of people who are working VAR, I don't think you need to be a genius, because they couldn't work it out. Just on that as well, I'll just give a quick mention. I'm really happy with like the stand of the refereeing in the tournament. Like, there's been multiple occasions where players go down and hold, clutching their faces, whatever, and they've just been told to get back up and play on. Yeah, it's great to see. Like, even when they go down, they like pick the ball up with their hands. The ref's like, no, get on with it. But yeah, VAR is another matter. Anyway, sorry to digress from there. So Portugal, Uruguay, that's a big tester. That's a better test for Portugal. Although, Ghana could have got something out of that game without that penalty decision. So yeah, there's a lot riding on that one. South Korea. The South Korea-Uruguay game, I mean, it was okay. There was nothing too much going on attacking-wise. Maybe both of them were playing it safe at the start of the tournament. So it's tough to say. You probably say Portugal are in a good position there and could probably hold on to a qualifying spot. The other one, I'd back Uruguay over South Korea. I think I'd go for them.
Okay. Big Steve, in terms of the way Portugal is looking, and of course VAR mentioned, and maybe you never know how that game would have finished. Uruguay, though, they're not the team that they used to be before in terms of the sweet attacking. I mean, when they were at their peak with the Suarez and Cavani, and could just play magical football. So when you look at this group now, is there a chance for and South Korea? This South Korea as stock Asian teams in terms of high energy, but is there a possibility that Ghana could still? Do you see Ghana still coming out of this?
I'm going for Portugal and Ghana to go through, because the penalty decision, they could have avoided that. He did. Yeah, Ronaldo wins the penalty, but the defender doesn't make the tackle. He doesn't need to, and then the last minute when he got the goal off the goalkeeper, then slipped, could easily have been a draw. So I think I saw enough in the game for Ghana to actually do something, and they owe Uruguay. So I think they'll turn over Uruguay in the last game.
But remember when it comes to, it's funny how teams always raise their game depending on who they're playing, but they never keep it that same level. So based on what, apart from the fact that they owe Uruguay, Mr. Hinder, who are you going to for this group?
It's a tough one. I think Ghana were desperately lucky and unlucky at the same time. Not to get that last one, and he just got a bit excited and fell over. He must have been kicking himself that night and probably didn't sleep well. They gave a good account. I don't think they were, to me, ever going to win. There's a few players in that Portuguese team that didn't perform at all. Ronaldo didn't have a great game. He got his penalty, and fair play to him. 5 World Cups scoring, and that's a monumental feat for anyone. But I probably would still say Uruguay and Portugal will go through from that one regardless. I don't think Ghana will be up for necessarily the other games. Ayew scored as well. I couldn't believe he actually got the goal. I mean, he hasn't really scored for his club.
He is, when you want to understand playing for your country, what playing for your country means. Anytime he puts on the Black Stars shirt, the man is passionate. Obviously, comes from a football legend. And his dad and his brother plays in the Premier League. And I'm surprised that he actually still, nobody from the Premier League actually is going to take him from Swansea, because he might not give you a lot of goals, but he's the passion, the hard work, the drive. So anytime he plays for Black Stars, I always expect that passion. If everybody else could be or play like him for Black Stars, they probably would have beat Portugal.
And
But I think it's
just a quick mention on Uruguay, because we're doing them down as an old team. Like they do have Nunes, like they've got Bentancur and Valverde in midfield, Araujo, the Barcelona defender. So they've got some better, like, younger players coming through. So if the manager gives them a chance, he started Suarez, did he, against South Korea? He didn't he? Yeah. So I don't know if he's going to give him another chance, or maybe go with their pace and energy of Nunes. So we'll see how that goes. But they've got some good, like, exciting younger players in their squad.
Martins.